Hello, this is Joel Blain presenting Brian Blain, coming
You're
to you
you're
in
behind the scenes.
2021. Brian Blain wearing a shawl. Check him out, everybody. We're about to get started here. I'm happy to enter the new year with my father, who's safe and sound at home. He's been self isolating way before the pandemic, I'm going to have to say. But he's maintained the same positivity and good outlook. And here he is, man of the hour, Brian Blain.
Well, I didn't expect an intro, Joel. That's great, but you didn't show yourself. But that'll be for later. I'll let you
Here we go.
get the right
Hi.
hat or whatever. Oh,
I
there
have
he is.
that. I am wearing the toque that you bought me on a shopping day.
Ah,
Um, when we could travel in a mall together with mom, we walked through a mall, and you bought me this at the root store, and I'm wearing it in remembrance of
really?
fonder times. Yeah,
How many years would that? That's a long time.
that was
You-
Yorkdale Mall, I think we were at.
Anyway, I wanted to mention about the shawl that you referred to because you know me. I'm not great on the gifts and stuff and rituals of Christmas too much, but this beautiful gift came to me from my sister Lynn, and Lynn is a half sister who I just met in the last year or so. She's probably watching this. Look at this great blanket she sent me, which was crafted by our mother Muriel. And the great story was that if Muriel was far along on making one of these crocheted things, if she saw a mistake, she would unravel everything and go right back and start it over again. The mother I never knew. I think most people know the story about me sending in the DNA to Ancestry, and then all of a sudden, like third cousins popping up, and then some closer relative, a great grandfather who was a cook in a lumber camp in northern Ontario, and other different things coming together from different angles, ending up a year later with me having conversations and now receiving this beautiful rug, not what do you call it, lap rug, that was created by my birth mother. So, in the midst of making this record, which had a lot of delays already, we ended up having to stop the presses so that I could finish this tune and include it on the album. The album is available now on Bandcamp, brianblain.bandcamp.com. This might be, I'm getting a weird echo on my vocal, but it's full of surprises whenever you fire up this stuff. I hope you hear me okay out there. You always hesitate to turn up the volume. She was a mother, a single mom making do, working at Simpsons. She's the mother I never knew, someone to lean on. She was there to help you work things through. Spent her life helping others. She's the mother I never knew. Did I mention I haven't been playing these songs at all these recent months? What a shame, considering I got a record coming out here. Second verse. She was never angry, and she'd calm you down if you were. Always ready to listen and your secrets were safe with her. And she loved music and sitting back watching the news, cheering the underdog. That's the mother I never knew. Trying something I never tried before, but glad to share it with a few folks. Hang in there. We'll get to the bridge. Right here. And it's been beautiful to learn these things. Hope she knew how she was loved. Thank the family for the memories that showed me who she was. A kind-hearted woman, a person of very deep faith, only thinking of others. Some might even call her a saint, but she was just a mother, a single mom making do, working at Simpsons. She's the mother I never knew. All right. Hills Walt. Happy New Year to you, Hills. And I hope you and your band get out there and blow people away, because that's you've got a great sounding band. And what a shame that you had to just sit tight. I hope you held together, most of the boys. I'm sure the core people are with you. You got a loyal bunch there. Michelle Rumbell is watching. I always enjoy your shows. You got so much more of a flair for a decor. You know, you would have like, I've even got a string of Christmas lights that I could have hung up, and just wasn't inspired. I don't know. I'm just not inspired by Christmas lights. You know, Yvonne and Susan. Hi. Oh boy. Well, and Mike Jaycock, man, oh man, talk about the old days. Sandy Willette. Now I'm going to see the people that are watching with me, and man, some I should put this in a place where I can sort of see it. So that was a song. Oh, now it's gone away. I had a song about my birth mother, and I was starting to say how, if you could picture this, like this time last year, we had a little house concert, and the album was underway but not finished. And all of a sudden, all these cousins have appeared in my new life, and they're going to come to the house concert. So I've got like 2 rows of new nephews and nieces and cousins that are going to be at this show. That is what inclined me to finish that tune. Glad I did. And then, yeah, we put it on the record. Jesse O'Brien plays some fabulous piano on it. So, what a time of change and end of a cycle, and hopefully the beginning of a new one. The Trump cycle is another good riddance. And the downside of that for me is I had just written 3 songs about Donald Trump. I had he's got a fine first family. Everybody toes the line. They never speak without permission, and everything is always fine. But he's a misogynistic. Women love him anyway. Ah, well, they put up with all his lies. I know they've been kind of acclimatized, and they got their marching orders, and they're loyal to a fault. Well, now he's got a press secretary, presidential liaison. She knows what's really going on. She's got the ear of the leader. She's at his side the whole day long. Oh, Kaylee. Maybe not anymore. She smiled and looked us in the eye right there at that first press conference. She said that she would never tell a lie. Whoa! But she had her marching orders. And she's loyal to a fault. Dare I try to play a little guitar on that? I learned this lick off of Mark Knopfler, and I know I don't have it right yet, but I'm working on it. Last verse I probably won't remember, but I tried anyway. Well, if you praise him to the heavens, he will listen to your lies. If you praise him to the heavens, he will listen to your lies. But if you dare to contradict him, you can kiss your job goodbye. He's got an army of generals right there at his beck and call. The Supreme Court will always take his side. Well, maybe not always. But he's got 70 million in his tribe, and they got their marching orders, and they're loyal to a fault. loyal to a fault. This is the song that started the Trump trilogy. Now that I'm already sidetracked from the script, imagine we're not one line down on the script and I've changed it. Sorry to anybody that's following it. That means you, Joel. But I wrote this one thinking of the Trumpism, the Trump era. Is that what is 4 years make an era? Because I hope it won't be much longer than that. I work hard on the factory floor, getting overtime and ready for more. I'll see a pension and a good vacation, and I don't worry about the automation. They say we might be going back to coal, just like in the days of old. We'll be happy. I had some trouble with the girl of my dreams. We've been together since our early teens, but things are changing as we both grow older. And last night she kinda said it was over, but I'm not worried, this is coming to me. She'll be back knocking at my door, we'll be happy. Fortune teller said I'd write a hit tune, but she also said it wouldn't be soon. And so I'm sitting here scratching my head, hoping it happens before I drop dead. But I'm not telling you this is coming to me. I'll be winning that lottery. I'll be happy. Oh, so happy. Well, okay. The sound was, whoops, now I just unplugged something, I think. Ay, ay, ay. But glad you're hearing me. Now, and I see comments, but holy smoke, I'm
All right. Right on, Brian Blain.
And I hear a voice too.
Time for the CD pitch. Got to keep you on schedule. Yeah, we got the script.
So this tune you just heard was on the CD called "Not 50 Anymore." I'm not 50 anymore. Tell the truth, and I want everybody to have one. And they're basically free because if you go to Spotify or any of those places, you can listen to it. But if you want to have your own copy, if you like a physical copy, that's $20. You could go to Bandcamp. I think it might be $15. Or it's, you know what it is, that Bandcamp, you pay what you can. So some people have actually paid more. I've been overpaid for CDs, and I've given them away, and that's kind of the new paradigm here, the new construct for us artists is we make the music. It's free, but we're always happy to receive some tips. And if the people think of it as an admission, like if you were coming to a house concert, we got Mr. John Gardiner. He's come along to relate some passages from his books, and not the current one, I don't think, but he's written a lot of stories. Welcome, John.
Welcome, Brian. The first time he felt like he was playing in a real band was the Friday night they packed the local coffee house. He felt exhilarated as he stood on the stage, and Frank worked what they all thought was a groovy light show, but which really consisted of a few flashing spotlights, and Frank's dad's drill hooked up to become a strobe light. The place had been filled with kids spilling out the doorways and into the street, and they had all come to listen to he and the guys. The same guys he had been practicing with for almost a year, nearly every night after school. True, they had played a few house parties and there'd been that church dance, but this was really the first time. And the kids were eating it up, grooving, and it felt great. He felt himself hoping that he could somehow make his life out of reliving this feeling. As he stood on the edge of the stage and watched the kids groove into the tunes, he felt the music flow through him, out from somewhere deep inside him, through him and into the guitar and into the amp and out the speakers and into the kids. It felt great. But that seemed like so long ago, before all the hard times that were to follow. Back then, there had been no responsibility for what was to come, only the music and the now. That had been all that mattered. And oh, wasn't that the way life should be lived? To look no further than today and what it might bring. To not even think that there might be a tomorrow. For how can there be when it is always today? He had always lived life on the edge, teetering precariously, not knowing whether he'd make it and not really caring. It was the nature of his existence, and there seemed to be no escape. Playing in the bar bands, living day by day, and it had gotten harder and harder as the years had passed, so that now he found it difficult to pull himself out from under the wreckage of his life to face yet another one of those days. And even now, as he sat on the edge of the hotel room bed, bleary-eyed and hazy-headed from another night of reckless partying, he remembered back to that first glorious night when he'd first felt like he was playing in a real band. And he wasn't sure how he'd gotten here. An endless succession of day-by-days, each passing seemingly unnoticed and disappearing into oblivion, had happened. And even now he imagined that he was lost and wandering aimlessly and wondering how such should have come to pass. He got up from the bed and walked to the sink, splashing cold water in his face, trying to clear his head. Christ, he thought as he looked into the mirror, I look tough. He decided to get out into the air. Winter's cold tore at his lungs as he broke out through the front door of the hotel and onto the sidewalk of the town's main street. For a moment, he had to think about what town this was, the band playing in a different one each week, jumping hither and yon, crisscrossing the map to make ends meet as they pursued their dream of being rock and roll stars. He had long ago given up on such a dream. But the other guys in this latest band, being much younger than he was, had not. So he played along, almost the father figure to their young hopes. Well, he told them that they would make it. He knew they would. Guys, it was hard facing up to such reality. And not. He played along, almost the father figure to their young.
John, I want to mention right off the top that your recent book is available on your website, johngardnerstories.com, right?
That's right.
Have I got that right?
Yep. You can stop in there, johngardnerstories.com. And actually, I've got a new podcast appears there every Monday, and there's a blog on the site, and there are ways to order my book, Memories for Sale. And the website is recently launched, and I don't know, part of the sort of ongoing endless marketing thing you have to do to try and get your work out there.
Yeah, indeed. And for us old guys, it's hard enough in my case to get the guitar out of the case. If I could just all the music time that I had at my disposal, if I used that just playing guitar, well, I would be some kind of hot shot. But meanwhile, I'm just trying to manage on the guitar. And you know, the first story I heard from you was the one about bass playing days, and I'm anxious for to share that with the folks and with you because I just laid yet. And I'm looking forward to what you think. But and bass playing is figures so prominently. You might not have known this, but that my first instrument was a string bass. I was 15 years old. I always take pride that I never had a guitar lesson in my life, but I did have bass lessons, and I went and I was just a kid and playing this big old string bass, and I was kind of his prize pupil, and he taught every string instrument you could think of, but as a gift, or how would you say, a reward to all the prize pupils, we were allowed to join in with the Sherbrooke Symphony Orchestra for the annual Christmas concert. And as I recall, it was Mendelssohn. And here's the story. This is where it gets interesting for you. And I actually wanted to look this up because I don't have a name to go with it. But for the Sherbrooke Symphony Orchestra, they always had to bring in ringers, people that would complete the orchestra because there was never enough French horns or enough of this or enough of that. So for the big concerts, they brought in musicians from Quebec City Symphony and Montreal Symphony. And on this occasion, there I was, the kid on the string bass, next to this very imposing black gentleman playing a string bass, speaking French, and an amazing, a virtuoso bass player who went on to become an important conductor. And I become friends with him. The rehearsals go on a couple of days, I guess, and at one point I'm going to go home for lunch. And I said, look, do you want to come with me to my folks' place for lunch? Without even telling the folks, I'm bringing I'm bringing some company home for dinner. Someone came to dinner. And he came to lunch. We had a nice get together there. They met my family. And then after lunch, I took him upstairs in my room and I played him just about the only blues I had. And I had just got this Philips reel-to-reel recorder. The year is around 62, 63 or something. It was an early reel-to-reel recorder. And I had a few tapes, but this one is the one I listened to all the time. I got it from the sister of a college student. What was her name? Hannah Math. How do I remember Hannah Math? Somehow I got this tape from Hannah Math's brother, and it was Reverend Gary Davis. And I was very anxious to play this for my new first-time black acquaintance, friend. I'd never met a black person. And now I'm going to play him some Reverend Gary Davis. And well, he listens to that and his jaw is on the floor. He's never heard it and anything like it. And it's very raw compared to the music he was obviously brought up with. And I think I might have changed him a little bit just with that moment, a 15-year-old white kid in Sherbrooke, Quebec, and sort of showing this guy a little bit of his roots. And as far as I know, he did go on to become quite a renowned conductor in Quebec anyway, maybe internationally. So there's a bass story. Now I want to shift over to your bass story, which is thinly disguised novella. But
Yeah,
did you
there's a
want to
bit
say
in
by
there,
word,
Brian.
by introduction? Have you got something on that
Well,
one?
there's no doubt there's a bit of me in all my writing, Brian. There really is. There's a bit of me in all my writing. But certainly a fictionalized account here. When you hear the story, you'll understand that these events have perhaps not unfolded yet in some cases, and didn't unfold exactly the way they're written down in other cases. But anyway, it's been a good run for me as a bass guitar player for over 50 years, and I've had a great time at it, and I'd really like to share this piece of my writing with you out there. Jay Holden sat on the edge of his bed, which was located on what could be called the edge of his tiny room, which was located sort of on the edge of the boarding house he called home. And he guessed he had kind of arrived on the edge of his life as well. He regarded the well-worn guitar case that sat on the floor over by the door. The Fender Precision bass guitar it contained had been with him for a virtual lifetime, since he had bought it almost 50 years ago. It had been with him through every gig he had played over that span. It had been his most faithful and loyal partner in life. There was no doubt about that. But today it was all ending. A few scant hours from now, a total and complete stranger would knock on his door, hand him a bunch of cold, hard cash, and then leave with what had been Jay's most precious possession for 5 decades. Pretty well the only thing in his life that had always been there for him and had never betrayed him, no matter the circumstances. Deciding to sell his old friend had been a difficult and heartbreaking ordeal. He had wrestled with it constantly over much of the past year, since his hands had finally reached the point where they simply no longer worked well enough to play the wondrous guitar. He guessed he had arthritis, which caused distress for many people as they aged, but which caused particular distress for a bass guitar player who needed dexterity and a certain suppleness to hold down the bottom end of the band. He had thought at first that he would keep the guitar anyway. Let whoever found him dead and stiff decide what to do with it. He had no real family, at least none he had kept much in touch with. They would not miss him, had never missed him, but he was concerned about the Fender guitar, so that he finally decided that he should be the one to send the guitar to its fate. He could not leave its disposition to strangers. So he put his phone number and a brief description of it up in a couple of music stores, feeling that if perhaps he could attract a young musician to the instrument, that he might find someone who had learned to love the guitar as he had. When he had bought it, it had not been his guitar of choice. He was after a Rickenbacker on that long ago day. His idol was Chris Squire, the bass player in a band called Yes. And he played a Black Ricky, and that's what Jay had wanted. His old Kent guitar, his first real bass guitar, took a tumble off the stage near the end of the Friday on a 2-night gig. The Kent was destroyed, and Jay was in need of a guitar by the next night. So without giving it a second thought, it was decided that the band and a bunch of their friends would head to Toronto to buy a new guitar right at that exact moment in time, even though that moment happened to be 1 o'clock in the morning. And so about 8 of them had set out for the big city, and after stopping for Chinese food at 3 in the morning and trying to catch some sleep on a back street, they arrived at Long and McQuaid's music store at about 8:30. They were the first customers of the day. But the store didn't have a single Rickenbacker in stock. Jay had been devastated. He knew he was probably buying his life guitar, the one he would be playing when they all became rock stars, something they were sure was bound to happen at some point. The Long and McQuaid sales guy sort of pushed the Fender on him. It's got a swamp ash body and a maple neck, he'd said. It's a limited edition. Jay ran a couple of half-hearted scales on it, and the deal was done. He was disappointed all the way back to the farm where the band was living. He was not excited to play it that night. He felt he could care less. The other guys in the band kept telling him not to worry. He could trade it later and get something else. Still, he was not happy. But the Fender grew on him the more he played it. It had marvelous action and somehow just felt right in his hands. And the more he played it, the more comfortable he felt with it. And he never really considered seriously that he would ever trade or part with it in any way. Jay was a loyal guy. When he made a commitment to something, he stuck to it through thick and thin. And he had grown to love the Fender. It had stayed with him through 2 marriages and a bunch of girlfriends. He remembered telling someone once that he should marry his guitar because it always agreed with him and did what he wanted and had unconditional love for him. Between songs at gigs, he'd sometimes find himself actually sort of caressing the guitar, almost in a kind of erotic kind of way. But now it was over. It had been a really good run. And even though he'd never even gotten close to the big time, he had had vast quantities of great and wondrous times with the guitar. And it had almost always been by his side. He looked at his digital alarm clock on the bedside table. Only a couple of hours more. Brian, I wanted to tell you, you were mentioning working some synthesizer in there, eh? Well, remember the day I heard the very first synthesizer I'd ever heard in my life? I was sitting in a restaurant called Paul's Grill and Tea Room, which was a Chinese restaurant in Hanover where I grew up, and somebody put a nickel in the jukebox or whatever it was back in those days, and on came Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Lucky Man. Okay, and that just blew me away, that song, and I just still to this day it almost gives me shivers, that synthesizer break at the end of that song.
Yeah, that was early days. That might have even been a mellotron. They had some
I think a
fancy
mellotron. I thought
instruments
maybe
back
a
then.
Moog. I thought it might have been a Moog. No.
Well, it would have been one of the early ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, I went and checked out some Keith Emerson and Nice and all that early stuff there. So just want to say, Brian, it's really very cool to be on here with you. I hope the broadcast is sort of working right and going out over my Facebook page because I can't tell. Because when I was on Facebook,
You didn't check your Facebook?
I can't, because when I was on there before, it was all echoey and everything, like the sound and that.
Yeah, you need to do it like in another room on another device.
Well, I'm just
That's
hoping.
the best way.
Anyway,
We'll hope for listen, if it didn't get shared today, you can share it afterwards because it'll be on my Facebook page.
Yeah, right on. Very good. Anyway,
So the last.
Go
What were you
ahead.
going to say? Say your. I think this is goodbye. This is our sign off.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do one more tune, and then that is going to segue into one more story, and we're out of here.
All right. Thanks for doing this.
So thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who tuned in here, and
Thank you.
As Brian said, I got one more story. Hi, Joel. How are you?
Hey, what's going on? I just want to say I don't think you guys are that like Luddites or anything, because John, you just mentioned you got a website, you got a podcast, you got a lot of very forward-thinking ways of communicating your ideas out there. So I have to say you're doing better than a lot of the old timers out there. So congratulations.
That would be my 21-year-old grandson, Mitchell Grazat, doing all that stuff actually for me.
Oh, okay. Well, you're still getting out there. That's good.
Got a nod. Now I'd want to leave you with one serious kind of tune, because in the midst of the COVID crisis, is a worldwide water crisis. And there's a climate crisis. There's quite a few, like they're just lined up there. And as has been aptly related, there's no vaccine for the climate crisis. So once we get through and a new kind of life emerges, living with COVID, we're still going to have 3 billion people out there without water, without clean, potable water. And this was kind of a cause celeb for me. Uh, I never thought of that expression before, cause celeb, a celebrity cause. Well, this will be mine, water. And now I found a new outlet. I recommend um, a new project. It's called Rally for Rivers. If you Google it, Rally for Rivers. And the fellow that spearheaded this, his name is Sadhguru, Sahdguru. And he's on a mission to clean up the rivers in India. And you can imagine what a project that is. No, I'm going to do a song before we get into the walk. We're going to try something different after this. But for the moment, here's the water song. And look up Rally for Rivers, Sadhguru. A lot of wise words from that guy. I had thought maybe I would bring out the runes and actually do a rune casting right here live on Facebook. And the fact is, I've been doing these runes and I only do them 2 or 3 times a year, but they just continuously always told me the same thing. Like, now is not the time for drastic action. Please just plant the seed and wait for the harvest and that kind of thing. Always war metaphors, don't go into battle just yet. And so now, 75 years later, you're figuring, well, when do we get off the pot? But so I expect when I do my runes privately later tonight, it'll be that same old message. We'll see. I'll let you know on the next Blaincast. It's Brian Blain signing off from Riverdale, Leslieville, East End, India Town of Toronto, Canada. The woman needs water. She's dying of thirst. Asking why has her life been so cursed? Children starving, she's praying for rain. War brings more hardship and pain. There's water yonder, but nothing for her. A cry in the desert, can you hear her? Dunny Waterloo, she swept. Dunny Waterloo, she swept. Baby crying in the dark of night. Mother desperate with no help in sight. Hiding the child so they won't be found. No turning back, village burned to the ground. Well, they killed her son and they raped her daughter. And it's been days since she's had a drink of water. Dunny Waterloo, she swept. Dunny Waterloo. In Attawapiskat, there's water in the sink. But half the time it's not safe to drink. With the water protectors all beaten down. Well, when the so-called civilized world done him wide low, she's swift. Done him wide low. Well, that was a little bit of the water song. We actually have a video for the water song. I mean, I guess if we were going to show a video, we could have showed that one. But
Well, there was a little
now
bit of
we're
an issue there. Your video cut out, and so I just sort of covered for you. Yeah,
I just came back now.
yeah, you
Here I
did.
am.
You came back. You came back halfway through the song, but
Isn't that the nature? This is what we're dealing with. So, did I make my appeal already to the whoever might be watching this? Because I know there's people that want to help artists with streaming projects. I know there's some new funding, government funding for that sort of thing. And, I wanted to see if maybe I couldn't get some funding so that we could bring in what we've come to call a Guillermo, only because there's this guy called Guillermo that a lot of people call upon, but there's many Guillermos out there. And I think I need a little help here in managing these events. But I thought we pulled it off okay. What do you think, John Gardiner? Was it okay for
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, listen, technology is really great, Brian, when it works. That's sort of the motto I've lived by since back in the 70s when you used to get computer stuff in your bills, like from your cable company and that. And they always said, do not fold, spindle, or mutilate. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember
I
punch
mean,
cards.
look how far we've come, I guess, but I think we still have a ways to go yet.